thank you everybody for joining us today. It's going to be a short session so that each one of us can stay till the end. As already shared on our various platforms, today's meeting is basically following the feedback we have received after the sharing of our daily weather information, especially the impact-based forecast. So today we will be having officers from the Ghana Meteo Agency to give us an opportunity to explain to us the daily text messages that has been shared in the last few months. We also have an officer who will be running over the quarterly weather information forecast that has been shared by the agency so that we can be abreast. We'll be having participants all over the country, so but the time allotted to him will be only 10 minutes. So he will go straight to the major issues of how the weather will be like for the season that we are in now. The first presentation from Joshua will be 15 minutes. Then we will have a 10 minutes presentation from Nana Kofi. And then after that, we will leave the floor for participants to share with us any clarification or anything that they want to know further. As I already shared or has been shared on the various platforms, as much as possible, let's try to off our mics, mute it so that the one who is speaking can be heard. At the end of the presentation, if there's any question that we want to ask, we will first of all raise a hand so that you can see or you can be notified. And then when you get the opportunity, please mention your name and the district that you are reporting from or representing, and then you can go ahead with the question. The session is recorded and it will be shared on various platforms. So if there's any clarification you want to know later, you can always go back to it. Once again, let's try as much as possible to mute ourselves so that we don't distract the presentation ongoing. So without much delay, we will go straight away to Joshua to, in the next 15 minutes, go over maybe using the last few days that has been shared to explain to us how the impact-based forecast works. So Joshua, please, you can take over now.
All right, thank you very much, Edmond. Good morning, everyone. I'll try to make this as short as possible so that we can allow for questions to open up more. All right, so basically what we want to do is look at the impact-based forecast. What we used to do was to give forecasts of what is expected, but now we want to move to what the weather would do. Instead of just giving you the expectation, now we want to recommend some action for you. So that's basically what we are trying to do with this impact-based forecast. So we are combining hazard, exposure, vulnerability to identify a risk over a particular area. And these hazards are basically rainfalls, windy conditions, harmattan, those kind of things are the hazards that we talk about. By exposure, we want to talk about the things that are around your area. I was told that there's nothing like natural disaster, because if there's heavy rainfall happening on the desert, there's nobody living there, so there's no disaster happening. So there's natural hazard, but no natural disaster. So if population over an area or the facilities over the area are not so much, then of course the impact on the area will also be lesser. So we consider all these things to calculate the impact any hazard will make over an area. And then we recommend an action based on this information so that you can act before a disaster happens. So we try to use color codes to make it more easier for people to understand. So that's what impact-based forecasting is all about. And the things that we mainly look out for are the likelihood, the impact, and then the action to be taken. So when you're talking about probability, likelihood, we mean the probability of an event happening. And we have low, medium, and high probability. So the low probability means there's less than 4 out of 10 chance that the event will happen. So about 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, or 3 out of 10, which is less than 40% that the event will happen. When we talk about medium likelihood, it means there's about 4 out of 10 to 6 out of 10 chance of the event happening. So about 40 to 60% chance of us getting that event. And then high probability means we are getting more than 6 out of 10. That is over 60% chance. And the impact it will make over the area is also categorized into 3 main categories: so low, moderate, and high. By low, we mean it will just cause minor inconveniences and then small losses to our daily activities. And so probably you would want to carry an umbrella, or probably you would want to get shelter somewhere. Nothing too serious to cause any devastation, just minor inconveniences, but wouldn't bring any losses. But when we are saying moderate, then it means that there's a possibility of some damage being caused, but the severity will not be so high, so minor damage. There will be some disruption taking place. So if the impact will be moderate, of course, then it will have some effects on the activities that you'll be doing. And so you would want to take some action. But when we say there's a high impact, then what we mean is that there's possibility of damage being caused, there's a broad economic impact, and then there's a risk to life and property. So there's a possibility that somebody may lose property or life if the impact is high. So those are the things that we want to look out for when we see the impact-based forecast. And then based on this, we predict an action for you. Some of them, you don't have to take any action. So no action is required. In other instances, you don't want to just be aware. We are just creating an awareness, giving you the information that this is possible. But when we're moving up, then it means you'd have to be taking action. So either you are going to be prepared for an activity that is expected, or you are going to take a major action because what we are anticipating to happen over your area could have a very devastating effect on life and property. Right. So these are the 3 basic or main things that you see on an impact-based forecast. So we have the risk matrix, we have the nowcasting risk, and then we have the weather icons. Those are the major things you see on the impact-based forecast. So once you see your shading, the first thing you look out for is the color. So you can see that D, A, and B all have the same colors. So that's green. So when you see the color green, you just move straight to the nowcasting risk, and it means that there's a low risk over your area. If you are seeing G, E, and C, then that's yellow. So you move to the nowcasting risk, it means you have to be aware. But as you move towards the severity increases, you see that the action will also change. So we are saying you should be prepared at this point. But once you see I, red, it means you should take action. So a major action is required if you are seeing red over your area. So these are basically the things you would look out for once you see them. And you can also see some letters written within these tests. So what we are trying to do is connecting the likelihood to the impact. So for A, for instance, if you are seeing A, it means that if you move towards the likelihood, it is low. If you move towards the impact, it is low. And so for A, there's a low probability of a low impact weather happening over your area. So less than 4 out of 10 chance of an activity or event that will have just minor disruptions to your activities. And then if you talk about G, if you move towards the likelihood, that is high. If you move towards the impact, that is low. So by G, we mean there's a high possibility of a low impact weather. And so if an area is shaded G and another area is shaded A, the area that is shaded G will have more confidence that the event will happen than the one that is shaded A, because the probability for A is lower than the probability for G. But the fact that the probability is low also does not mean that the event will not occur. Even though there's a low probability, there's still a probability that the event will occur. And so we still would want to take some action, just that will be minor. If we see H moving towards the likelihood, that will take us to high. Towards the impact, that will take us to medium. So if you see H for your area, it means there's a high possibility of a medium impact weather. Medium impact, like I explained earlier, would mean that you'd have to, it could cause some minor damage. You could also see some disruptions there. So if there's a high possibility of this happening, then of course you do want to take some actions. So these are the things you see on them. But once you see I in your area, there's a high likelihood of a high impact weather happening over your area. So if you are seeing high likelihood of a high impact means there's a possibility of damage being caused. There's a possibility of a broad economic impact. There's a risk to life and property. And there's a high possibility, which is greater than 6 out of 10. So about over 60% chance of that happening. And so you want to take action. So once you see I, the action you should take is a major action is required for you. And so probably you do, if it's a flat prone area, you don't want to live there before the rain starts. So you take action before the disaster actually happens. That's what we want to achieve with the impact-based forecast. And for the weather icons, we are trying to put these icons on the map so that you see what is expected over your area. So if you see this, that's rain. If you're seeing this, that means there's windy condition expected. If you are seeing this, that's dust is expected over your area. So you see this mostly in the Hamilton. And once you see this one, that's hail is expected over your area. So you see the icon of what is actually expected in your area. This is the morning forecast that was sent today. So we can see that in the morning, the whole of the upper east and upper west regions were shaded with green color. So green, it takes us to the nowcasting risk, which means there's a low risk over that area. And then the letter written there is D. So we move to the risk matrix, and that means medium likelihood of a low impact weather. So it could possibly be just cloudy conditions and some slight rain or drizzle over some areas, but it will not have any major impact on the area. If we move into the afternoon, we're expecting that just few areas around the Bono and Hafu regions will also see these rain activities. The color there is green, so that means there's a low risk over that area. And then the letter there is B. So if you move to B, it means there's a low probability of a medium impact weather occurring over that area. And the weather we are expecting there is rain. So these are the things you need to interpret the impact-based forecast. That's basically what you go through. There's another one which is
So shall you go on? I'm trying to mute the person. Please, Weston Del, if you can mute yourself for us. Joshua, you can go on.
All right, thank you. So this is for the 24-hour forecast, impact-based forecast. So you get the morning, the afternoon, and then the evening. These are the things you see on the 24-hour forecast. If we are writing this in the afternoon, the first one will be afternoon, the next one will be the evening, and then the next one will be the following day morning. And these are the times and days the forecast was issued. So this is today's day is 19th. The time is 5 a.m. and it is valid from 6. So even though you are seeing the forecast on your pages at 5 a.m., the forecast will start taking effect from 6 a.m. That's what it means. So we give 1 hour notice before the forecast actually takes effect. So that is for 24-hour forecast. There's also the weekly or midweek or weekend outlook. So this is a weekly outlook that was sent on Monday. What we are expecting is within 24 hours. So for Monday and Tuesday, areas in the upper east, upper west, and parts of the northern regions will be seeing some rainfall. So if you move to the test here, we're expecting isolated to scattered conditions over the northern sector. But for the rest of the country, just some slight rain or drizzle, partly cloudy conditions and isolated situations. So you can see that the probability in the northern part is higher than that in the south, because this is shaded orange and yellow. Yellow means you are creating an awareness, but southern Ghana is shaded green. So there's a low risk over those areas. And then the probability for, this is E. So the probability of the event happening is medium for the northern portions. But for southern Ghana, we also have a medium likelihood, but the impact is low for southern Ghana, while the impact is medium for northern Ghana. For midweek, we're expecting low risk over the entire country. So everywhere is shaded green, and the icons there are rain. So basically, you know, have them windy conditions for midweek. But over the weekend, that's when we're expecting more areas in the country to have some medium impact weather. So you can see that for the entire northern sector, it is shaded yellow, which means we are creating an awareness of a possibility of rainfall that will have a medium impact over the northern portion. But for the coastal portions, we are just expecting a low risk over those areas. You can see the details of the forecast here. They are all here, written in plain text, so you can really read them and then understand them as well. And then the last one I want to talk about is the weather warnings. So we have the 24-hour forecast, we have the weekly outlooks, and then when we see that a system is approaching and we can tell the time and then the impact it will have on the area, we issue a weather warning. So this is a template for weather warning. This one, we shaded the upper east and northeast regions as H. H means there's a high possibility of a medium impact weather happening over the area. The other parts of the northern region and then parts of the eastern side of the country were all shaded as yellow. So it means there's we're creating an awareness for those areas. For areas in the southwestern parts to H, so it means those areas to have a high possibility of a medium impact weather. And then for some parts of the Bono and Ahafo regions, we're expecting a low risk over those areas. Once you see this and you interpret it for your area, you move straight to the areas to be affected. So you can see this one here. That is what I've brought out here. So this one is what I brought here. So what we are trying to do with this is, you can see the time written here. T is equal to 1400 UTC. All of them have the same time. T is equal to 1400 UTC. And you can see T written here as well. There's T here, T plus 1 hour, T plus 2 hours, T plus 3 hours, and then outlook. So if you look at your area, this is OT and Volta regions. We expect the storm to hit them between 1530 and 1900. That's 3:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. But within the first 1 hour, so from 2 p.m., which is 1400 plus 1 hour, so within 2 to 3 p.m., we're expecting G over the area. G means there's a high possibility of a low impact weather over there. So it will start with a low impact weather. But in 2 hours time, so that means by 4 p.m., we should expect H. H means the impact will now increase from low to medium. So H, we are moving to the medium impact. In 3 hours time, the impact will still be medium, but the probability will reduce to medium. So instead of high probability in 2 hours, we're expecting a medium probability in 3 hours. And for the outlook, that means after the 3 hours, what are we expecting? We're expecting D. So it means the rain will start giving you the storm will start giving you some slight to moderate rainfall in 1 hour. In 2 hours, you get the heavy rainfall and the windy conditions coming in. In 3 hours, it will start subsiding. And then the outlook will just be a low impact weather continuing. If you move to Greater Accra regions, we're expecting that in 1 hour, there's a low risk. In 2 hours, there's also still a low risk. But in 3 hours, we're expecting that there will be a medium risk over those areas. So the awareness is then created for them. If you move to the next one, that's Upper East, Northeast, and Northern regions, we expect the storm to hit them between 1600 and 2000 UTC. Within the first 1 hour, there's nothing shaded there. So it means there's no risk at all in the first 1 hour. And so if you are taking action and you are within the Upper East or Northeast regions, from 2 to 3 p.m., you can take that time to do whatever you want to do because there's no risk in your area. But in 2 hours time, we expect that you start getting a lower risk over your area. In 3 hours, you get a medium impact over there. But after 3 hours, that is when the storm will actually hit your area. And so the impact then changes to, the probability changes to high probability. That is H, which means high probability of a medium impact weather over the area. If you move to the Ashanti region, Ahafo, Western, and Central regions, we expect the storm between 1700 and 2100, which is 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. So it means within the first 1 hour, there's nothing expected there. Within the next 2 hours, there will be nothing there. But in 3 hours time, you will start getting a medium impact weather. And then there's a high possibility of that happening after 3 hours. So that's what we try to do with the weather warning, give you how the storm will be propagating, and then the impact it will be making as the time goes. We try to break it down within time so that you see when the active part will actually reach your area. So that's basically all we try to do with impact-based forecast. Just give you the areas to be affected and then recommend some actions for you to take within the period. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joshua. I can see you are asking, you are ready for the questions, but what I want us to do will be to let Nana Kofi also do his presentation. And after his presentation, we can have the questions together. So participants, please let's note down our questions, and then Nana Kofi will have a 10 minutes presentation. Right after his presentation, we will open the floor for participants to also come out with any clarification. Nana Kofi, please, you can share your screen if you have something to share so that you take in us to the next 10 minutes. Can you check your voice? You are breaking, Anna.
Yeah, hello. Is it any better?
Yes, yes.
Right. So, trying to share my screen.
Whilst he's trying to share the screen, we can also note down our questions on the message area even before we finish. But we will have the opportunity to also raise our hands and indicate the question. If it's difficult, I can try to project from here to see.
So share the seasonal forecast document first.
Okay, so. Okay, can you see yourself, Nana?
Right. Yes, I can see. I can see. So once again, good morning to all the participants. What Joshua did is to present the weather forecast, the expectation of the weather within 24 hours, 72 hours, up to a week. That's what Joshua said. The same institution, the Ghana Meteorological Agency, also issues what is known as a seasonal forecast. It is termed seasonal, and we normally do it at 3 monthly forecast because most of the crops and things we grow, the cash crops normally takes about 90 to 140 days, to grow. So we believe that period is very critical, especially for the farmers. And therefore we try to create a forecast in that line to support whatever activity they do. And we all know that the northern part of Ghana, the season normally starts somewhere between May, sometimes early April, but mostly between May and June. So this forecast is released prior to the commencement of the northern season. We do one for the south and we do one also for the north. Because of the time, this is how the forecast is presented. That is why I didn't want to build it into a PPT, because this is typically what you would receive in any point in time. It comes and we try to give the general summary of what is likely to happen over the entire country. The country has been segmented into 5 main areas. We have for the northern part, we concentrate on the upper east, upper west, and the northern part of the country. That is the northeast, Savannah, and the northern part of Ghana. All of them are together. So we give you a brief, a summary of what is likely to happen. Can you kindly move on, Eddie? Right. So I don't want to, this is the methodology and things we use. So let's stay at this point. Now, so this is typically what we're expecting for the northern part of the country for the onset of the season. We were expecting the seasons to start. When you look at the first the second column, where we have the normal and average onset dates, you'll find out that this is typically when you do a 30-year or more average, these are the dates that we normally have the rains starting in the northern parts of the country or in the selected zones that we're talking about. So you find out that for the northern part, between the second week of April and the fourth week of April, normally the season should start. Between the fourth week of April and the second week of May, for the upper east, the season should start. And the upper west also from the third week of April to the first week of May. And when you look at the time that we forecasted, so what is in the last column is the forecast dates. The days that we were forecasting the seasons, the rains.
Yeah.
Nana, check your voice for us, please. Joshua, can you hear Nana?
No, I can't.
They're looking for somebody. A place for somebody. Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
No, we still can't get you.
Yeah. Hello, can someone hear me?
Yes, you can hear you now.
Right.
I think that's better.
Right. So just as I was saying, so these are the typical onset days that we provide for the northern part of the country. Let's move on. Take notice of the days that we provided for the onset as against the normal. You find out that for most places in the north, we're expecting to have a normal onset for the north. Most of the days that were provided are similar to the days that were provided as the normal or the average onset dates for the northern part of the country. If we can move on. Good. So then the forecast also comes in this format, where we have the areas where we have long-term data, we use them, we analyze them, then we interpolate to give us the average onset dates for these areas. So if you can move on slightly to the bottom of it, you find out that there is a legend. And within the legend provides what we have put in the table form. It is the same thing that we find also in the infographic form. You find out that the rains likely to start around the Wenchi, what we normally refer to as the transition area. The rains are likely to start around those areas. Then they will spread up north through the savannah and the northern area. Then it will progress to the upper west, then parts of the northeast. Then finally, the last rains will be expected or would be in the, I think, upper east region. So we give the table form as well as the infographic so that those who would want to appreciate it in the form of a graph would be able to see exactly what we are doing. So we focus on 5 key things. The onset of the season, because of time, I just want to run through. The onset of the season, which is very, very, very dear to the hearts of the farmers. Then we also forecast for the cessation, the time that the season will end. We also forecast for the amount of rainfall that it's expected within the season that we are referring to. And we also forecast for the length of the season, how long the season is going to be. And one very critical thing that also impacts farmers a lot, the dry spells. We also do forecast on the dry spells. Now, why is the dry spell very important for us? So we can move on from here. The dry spell is very important because, like, sometimes you experience, and we've had calls from places in the north where they tell us that it is not raining, we cannot experience the rain. It looks like the rains have ceased.
in between the whole season, there are periods where the rains subside, it comes down, and there are times where the rains also pick up. So, for instance, this one is forecast for this. This one is still the onset. This is the probability forecast. You can we scroll down? Yes, down. So what I said for the onset also holds for all of them. You have basically 3 columns, where the column will be the zone, the first column. The second column will be the average, whether onset or cessation or dry spell, whatever will be the normal. Then the forecast is the one that is at the last column, right? So just as I was explaining, you find out that the dry spells is very important because over a period of time within the season, you find out that the rains will not be coming, or when they come, they will be coming very, very, very minutely. And we think that is very critical for farmers, and we need to make you aware so that you know how you'll be able to plan, to go along with that particular season. So all the 4, that is what it is. So let me briefly talk about this one. Yes, if you could stay on the cessation probability. So we give the same information, the same data, we give it in 3 formats. The first is the tabular form that we have provided. The second is the infographic format that we have provided. Then the third is also to tell you the likelihood of that event occurring. That is what is normally referred to as the tessile probabilities. Now, because we are doing a long-term forecast, and it is difficult to tell you the daily occurrences within the long term, the 3 monthly or the 3 months have been averaged, and we are telling you about what is likely to happen within the 3 months that we are looking at. For instance, here we say cessation. We've given you the forecast for the cessation. And when you check the tabular format and you check the infographic format, you get to know the dates we've provided for the cessation. And we are telling you that for most places within the upper west, upper east, the northeast, the northern regions, and parts of the savanna regions, we are expecting that the rainfall will cease late. If the cessation date is around, let's say, the first week of October, what we are predicting here is that the cessation will go beyond the first week of October, so that you will have a lengthier season. That is what it means. So 50 is telling you that there is a 50% chance that your season is going to end late. However, there is also a 35% chance for places within this entire region to also experience a normal cessation. And then there is still a 15% chance for places that I've mentioned, the areas in green, to also experience early cessation of the rains. So we give you this information, then you see that the likelihood is for you to get an above a late cessation or a normal cessation. So if you are planning, you know the dates for the normal cessation, you know the dates for the late cessation, then you can plan towards that range. That the forecast is saying there is a high likelihood that we're going to have a normal or late cessation of the rains. And when you look at the tabular form, you'll find out that exactly the specific dates have been provided in the tabular format. So for instance, where we are currently, you find out that for the early parts of the season, the first dry spell, now we the first 50 days when the rain starts, that is where we try to look for the early dry spell. Now, the upper is we're expecting that close to about 2 weeks, we could go from I think from the May through to somewhere June, we could have about 10 days, 9 days, or 8 days straight without rainfall. Here, the rainfall we are talking about is anything that is above 1 millimeter of rain. But that is the forecast. But for the normal, you find out that for the north is about 11 days, upper east 11 days, upper west about 10 days. So roughly about 2 weeks that you can go without rainfall. That is between May, June, and partly early part of July. But we can scroll down. But as the season progresses and we go into July, moving into August, you find out that we tend to have lengthier dry spells. Edmund, if you can kindly scroll down a bit. Yes, go down further. Right, so here, we can stay here. You find out that around this time, we're expecting 2 weeks or plus 2 weeks of dry spells. Why? Because normally around July, for most parts of the southern Ghana, you realize that the season is just about ending. And about that time, that is where there is a little dry or a little break within the seasons as the northern seasons or the systems begins to improve or to get to the peak of the season in the north. There is a little break around that time. So around July, mid-July through late July, you'll find out that the rains will be subsiding and will be ceasing in the north. It will be picking up, or it will be dying down slightly as compared to the May, June when the rain starts, also in the north. Then late, from mid-August through late August, then you find out that the rains become strengthened. So from that particular point in time, you begin to have the dry spells being very minimal. Every 5 days, every 6 days, every 7 days, you can expect rains in the north. And that is where currently we are. As we move gradually from mid-July, heading towards the end of July, the rains will start picking up in the north. And by August, it will be the peak of the season for the north. And therefore, you find out that you'll be inundated with a lot of rains in August and also in September. Then as we get to the tail end of September, the rains will be sliding down. And by the first, second week of October, the rains gradually will be coming to an end in the northern part of the country. So we provide, just as I said, 3 things. We give the tabular format, we give the infographic format, then we give the probability format. And at the end of the day, we also summarize everything. So if you can scroll down a bit for me, Eddie.
Is it this one?
Yes, we can go further. Because of the time,
you'll be having 2 minutes,
right,
to conclude.
Right. So let's go down. I just want to go to the summary.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. So at the end of the day, then we give a general summary for what is likely to happen in the north. Remember, we are focusing on the June, July, August, September, because these are the key or the peak of the season for the northern part of the country. That is where most of the farming activities, and that is where the water bodies are filled up, and therefore we concentrate. Even though we give from the beginning, we give them March, April, May, June, but we believe this is the area we need to focus for the northern part of the country, because it's at the peak of the season. So we give an overview for the June, July, August, what is likely to occur. For the onset, what is likely to occur. For instance, for this year, we are saying that for the July, August, September, what we normally refer to as a JAS, there's going to be above normal rainfall for the northern parts of the country, especially upper east, upper west. But for the northeast, the northern part of the country, and that of the savannah and the transition, you're going to have normal rainfall. So we provide summaries on the onset, on the dry spells, and on the cessation, and on the length of season. But here, the length of season is not impacted. Then we provide advisories for the various sectors. Yeah, so that at least they would need to understand what is likely to happen within the domain where they are, and they can go on and plan with whatever forecast we have given. And we continuously update this forecast every month to capture if there are changes within the atmospheric and ocean circulation. we're able to get this one and also give it to you. So it is necessary you need this one to plan, to know how the season is going to look like. But for executing your plans, you need to use the daily, the weekly forecast, and the decadal forecast to be able to do your tactical operations for whatever activity you are involved in. I want to thank you for listening to me. I would have loved to show you what has been happening in the north over some selected areas. If there is time, we'll see whether we'll be able to have a brief look at some selected areas in the north, what has been happening over there, whether indeed we are having below normal rainfalls or we are having normal rainfalls above normal rainfalls. We also do monitoring, and therefore we're able to know for the stations, for the areas where we have stations, we're able to know exactly what happens in those areas. So I'll pause.
Okay. Yeah, Nana Kofi, you can prepare to share that slide on the screen. In case there's any question that relates to that, you can use it to answer. But at the moment, I want to give the opportunity to the participants in case there's any clarification that they want to seek or any further confirmation they want to give us. The floor is open for the participants. Please, you can raise your hands and then we will pick any question. As I said, you can prepare to share what you have. If there are no questions and you want, if there's time, you can share it, or if there's any question that you can use that one to answer, you can also do so.
Right.
So now the floor is open to us. We did this in Damango and also in Kumasi, but like I indicated, there were feedback for this clarification. I've seen a hand already, but I don't want to believe that the single hand means that within this 30 minutes, maybe we have been able to answer all the issues that people want. I'll go straight away to Isaac Opoku. Please, you can take over the floor to ask your question.
Yeah, I want to find out when the first facilitator was speaking, he said when you see a time, let me say 5 o'clock, it means there is 1 hour ahead. So I wanted to find out when he was mentioning about the risk and the moderate, he quoted some hours there. That hours do have that 1 hour difference.
Okay, so Joshua, once there's no question now, you can take this.
All right, thank you. So what I meant by the 1 hour lead time is the 24-hour forecast that we send out. So the routine ones you see, morning forecast, afternoon forecast, and evening forecast. We give a lead time of 1 hour. So morning forecast is issued at 5 a.m., but it takes effect from 6 a.m. and valid for 24 hours. Afternoon forecast is issued at 11 a.m., but it takes effect from 12 p.m. and then valid for 24 hours. Evening forecast is also issued at 5 p.m. and it takes effect from 6 p.m. and valid for the next 24 hours. But with the one I was indicating the time, that is weather warning. Weather warnings, we state the specific time that the event is expected to occur over an area. So that one, the lead time will be different from the 24-hour forecast. Let me just share the screen and show you one. Okay, Nana is showing the screen, though I can't share. But basically, weather warning will give you the time when the event is expected to occur over an area. Okay, let me share and show.
You can share.
1 minute, please. Okay, so let me start with this one. So this is the routine forecast. It is always, morning forecast is always issued at 5 a.m., always, but it takes effect from 6 a.m. So if you get the morning forecast at 5 a.m., the forecast you are getting is for 6 a.m. and then valid for 24 hours. Same for the other forecast, that's afternoon forecast and then evening forecast. But for weather warning, there's a time issued here, which is 1400. When it is valid from, it's also written here, 1500. This will differ based on the conditions we are seeing. There are times that we give a lead time of 30 minutes. There are times that you get 2 hours lead time, times that you get 3 hours lead time. So where the lead time for weather warning is not specific, but the one for the routine forecast is specific. Always there's 1 hour lead time. But for weather warning, it can be 4 hours, it can be 3 hours, it can be 30 minutes, it can even be instant. So immediately you see the forecast is taking effect. But with the time you see here, it's trying to give the specific times for each area where the rain is expected to start over those areas. So you can see that it varies from one area to another. This one is 1530, the other one is 1600, the other one is 1700. So difference based on your locality. I hope it answers your question.
Yeah, thank you, Nana Kofi. I'll go to Letitia. I think I've seen the hand, if you can ask your question. Letitia, you can unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. And
Good afternoon.
thank you all the facilitators for all the submissions. Pardon me if my question is backward. Akoto has been training only farmers and
Letitia, can you please get closer to the mic?
I'm very close. So you can hear me.
It's better now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay. All right. So my question is in relation to the seasonal forecast. If I see a seasonal forecast for my area, and it is that there's 50% chance of above normal or 30% chance of below normal. If the forecast says it should be 50% below normal, or I don't know how you put it on. The thing is that the area will have below normal rainfall. As a farmer, what are some of the decisions or actions or things I need to do with this information?
Thank you, Letitia. I think this goes to Joshua, right?
Seasonal forecast.
Okay. Nana Kofi.
Yes. So what I can say is that remember when I started speaking, I said it is for decision making. So now you know you have the information. You're likely to have a below normal rainfall. Probably you grow a particular type of crop, which requires a certain amount of rainfall before you can grow that particular crop. So you need to do an assessment to see whether in view or in the light of the information you have, whether you go ahead to grow the same type of crop. If you think that, or based on the forecast, if you know that you're going to have smaller amounts of rainfall, a shorter season, then I will not be able to tell you that necessarily do this, but it makes sense that you change or you tinker a bit with the decision that you already have taken. If you have to grow a short maturing variety, you switch to that one. If even you need to grow another type of crop altogether that will be able to fit into the season or the forecast that has been given to you, then you take that decision. So it is based on the risk of the farmer or the one who is receiving the information and how you want to utilize the information that has been given to you. That is what I can say about your question.
Okay, thank you, Nana Kofi. I think I will allow for the second question, maybe the last one from Isaac Opoku, so that we can be getting to conclusion.
Yeah,
Isaac.
Yeah, Isaac from Kwandai, Northern Region.
Isaac, we can't hear you. Please unmute yourself. Sorry. Unmute yourself and start the question again.
Okay. I'm saying, hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm saying some time ago when we were with another program with Isoko, I think you could, there is a hotline that you can find out if there is a season. I want to find out if our facilitators or they can give us a hotline if you are not understanding something or you need a particular time weather forecast. I think you can call and find out. That is what I'm finding out. If there will be a hotline like that. Or
okay. Yusuf, can you add your question so that they can answer both?
Yeah, I just want to find out whether, especially to the seasonal forecast, when he was sharing his slides, he keeps mentioning Northeast, Savannah, but I didn't see them anywhere in the categories. So I wanted to find out whether if they recategorize the geographical location as per the current regions that we have, it may change the likelihood of some of the events.
Okay, I've seen another hand. The time that I wanted us to end. Please, John Honega, please, you can go on.
Okay, thank you very much. From the second presentation, the onset of rain that was stated as in first and second week in April to that of May. I think that is not the reality on the ground. This year, for instance, we are in July and yet the rains are still yet to stabilize. I know in the past 2 days that we had a stabilized rain. I don't think the onset captured during the presentation will be that of the true refreshing in Upper East, for instance, because I'm calling from Upper East in Carol.
Okay, so 3 questions. Either Joshua or Nana Kofi can pick any of them. There's also one in the chat box which you can cover it.
Okay, I think that the bit about the hotline, I don't know, Joshua would answer to that. But for the seasonal forecast, Honyega, you are right. We have also observed that in most places in the Upper East and Upper West, the season started a bit late. There were initial rains at the beginning, but then after that, those initial rains just dwindled and we're not having consistent heavy rains as you alluded to. So you're very right about that one. Normally when it happens like that, we try to update. We do an update to reflect that one. Because sometimes the challenge is with the accumulation, the amount of rainfall that we receive and the method used to calculate for the onset. So you might get a rain of 5 millimeters. It is recorded as rain, but that 5 millimeters wouldn't take more than a day and everything will evaporate. So you are right in that sense. So, and for the second questioner, fortunately, weather is boundaryless. So even though you find out that in the map we included, or the shapefile we included upper northeast, northwest, but in the tabular form they are not there. In fact, the climate of the entire north is not much different. The differences are, very, very, very minute. That is why within that area, the tabular form, you find out that all of them have been consolidated into just the north or the northern part of Ghana. The onset, the cessation is very, very similar for all of them, except as you go to the upper east area and parts of the upper west, that it differs slightly from the northern region. That's why we separate it into upper east, upper west, and the northern. But in the shapefile, we include every part of the north.
And please, Joshua.
All right, so I'll take the hotline. Well, if you want to call the office, there's a number that is always active, so 24/7. That is 0302 777 172. 0302 777 172. This number is also on WhatsApp. So if you send us a WhatsApp message, we'll be able to respond to it and then give you any information you want. There's also another number, which is 0553 538292. 0553 538292. But this one is just for WhatsApp. If you call this one, it wouldn't go through, only on WhatsApp. But the first one, the 0302 777 172, is both WhatsApp and then normal call as well.
Joshua, are you the one who answers this phone or other ladies?
Well, the office number I gave goes to the office at the airport. So that runs 24/7. There's always someone in the office. There's the forecast office at the Kotoka International Airport. But the WhatsApp for that number comes directly to my office. So if you send a WhatsApp message to that number, I will respond here. But if you call, somebody from the airport will talk to you. The other WhatsApp number I gave is for the airport office. So if you send a WhatsApp message to that one, someone from the airport office will respond to it.
Okay, there was a question in the chat box. They say that, please, my name is Ernest from STK. I believe it's Solar Tunakaba. Please, can you always provide us with the monthly rainfall data? It's very important for the district. So then, Nana Kofi or Joshua, do you have the data on Solar Tunakaba? Actually, let me answer. I think we have a weather station there. Based on our collaboration, we have a weather station there. So for sure, we can share this with the respective district directors. And then if you want it, we will, it may not be on a monthly basis. I think we do it on a quarterly basis where the district can get, and it can also be shared with you. You can send us an email, myself, or any of the officers from GMET, and you'll be able to get the information for solar. Okay. So I can't see any hand, and it's also almost it's time. So let's try to conclude here. First of all, I want to show appreciation to you all for joining in. Indeed, this is a follow-up from a concern that was raised by members of the climate change champions. And following this, we want to say that we'll be continuing this kind of virtual sessions on a monthly basis, where we'll be sharing or also giving information on what we have been doing as climate change champions, or also giving information irrespective of the climate change activities that we've been doing. This on a similar vein, next month we will be discussing or be sharing information on the agroforestry activities that we've been doing. We'll be having members coming from some of the districts, sharing what they have been doing so far. And also as a team, we will be discussing the way forward in terms of the agroforestry, the nursery development we've been doing. So on behalf of the National Programs Coordinator of GASIP, Mr. Kluche Kudomo, I want to show appreciation for joining us, especially to the officers from the GMET. When I got the feedback and I informed them, they actually indicated that when we had the climate change champion workshop, there was a commitment from everybody that they will avail themselves. And for that reason, why not this time? And this availing, I think Nana Kofi, for instance, is on leave. But when I spoke to the director and we spoke, he said that yes, he's ready to talk or to present this one. This is to indicate that, like already indicated, if there's any challenge that we are facing, like they share their phone number, they are available. They are available with us on the WhatsApp page. They have already given their phone numbers. This shows that if there's any challenge that we are facing, when we reach out to the WhatsApp page, they are willing to help us answer to. Please, the one, Albert, can you please mute yourself? So they are willing to support us and help our farmers to be able to understand how the weather situation is. So once again, I thank you all for participating, and we will meet again next month in a similar 1 hour virtual information sharing session. If there's anything that you want to follow up, you can always share it on our platform, on any of the Climate Change Champion WhatsApp platform, and we will, as much as possible, attend to it. I will ask Nana Kofi to share the numbers again on the WhatsApp page, because he was going fast, so maybe some people didn't hear the numbers, so it will be shared on the WhatsApp page. If there are any other clarification that was not asked during this meeting, the WhatsApp page is also still there for us to move them. So I wish you all a beautiful week. But before we go, I indicated that we will take a group picture, a virtual group picture. I want us all to on our cameras so that we can see ourselves, and then we can take a virtual group picture. I'm waiting for a video.
I've not posted. Let me push.
Yes, can we all pose and have the photo taken? So Simon, Letitia, we want to see your face. Kwaku. Okay, Enoch, please, can you share? Can you pose for us?
How do I put my video on?
Okay, so go to where the mic is. Just okay, now we can see you are ceiling, not the. Okay, so Hassan, let me see if I can see the name well. Okay, so like Mala said, can we pose to get a picture well? Can we pose? Just 1 minute. I'm trying to get a camera. The cameraman is trying to get a camera.
Can we say cheese as well after
yes,
posting?
Just a minute. I need a camera. Okay, so
photographer without camera.
Okay, can I get a cheese now?
Cheese.
Okay, a second cheese for the second
camera. Cheese.
Okay, I can see some few people like Georgina, but I believe he was part of us. Okay, so thank you all.
Thank you too.
Thank you as well.
And have a nice day.
Close the meeting now.
Meeting closed.
I want to leave my meeting. It's not.